Ed Sheeran has definitely taken his real estate investments very seriously, enough to purchase an entire village for himself and his wife. Yes, Sheeranville exists, and he spent millions to call this compound home. Sources say that Ed owns 22 properties in total, but spends the majority of his time at his village in Framlingham, Suffolk, England. This estate alone cost him in the multi-million-dollar price range. We're gonna get a better look at Sheeranville as well as Ed's other properties. Edward Sheeran is a singer, songwriter, record producer, and actor who hails from England. Any album he releases seems to break records and earn awards, including Album of the Year. He's considered one of the best-selling music artists, and of course, he's already won 4 Grammys. I'm sure there are only more to come as well. Ed spent most of his childhood in a humble home in Framlingham in Suffolk, England. Even though he earned a ton of success and came a long way from his early days, Ed clearly still loves his hometown. It's the same small town where he decided to put down roots and build his million-dollar village. Ed is 28 years old at the time of this recording and got hitched to his longtime girlfriend, Cherry Seaborn, just last year. The two were childhood sweethearts or something like that. Of course, she's living with him in Sheeranville, but no kids for the couple yet. He also took a break at the end of last year, according to Instagram, so I guess he's enjoying some downtime at the moment, which is well-deserved and likely much needed. These days, Ed's net worth is up to an estimated 160 mil, which places him within the top 100 richest singers in the world. With all that money, it's no wonder Ed has decided to invest so much into his real estate. Hey guys, it's Kara, and today we're doing another house tour here on Famous Entertainment. We're gonna look at where Ed Sheeran calls home, especially his personal multi-million-dollar village he's created in his hometown in Suffolk and more. If you like these videos, make sure you're subscribed and ring that bell to be notified when we post so you can always be up to date. We've also done house tours on the likes of Taylor Swift and Johnny Depp, who also had a village, and we'll have links to those at the end of this. Be sure to follow me on Instagram because I love connecting with you guys. I've also been reading all your comments, and I'm gonna be responding to some at the end of this. I need you to let me know who to do next in the comments down below and whose home you'd like to see. Now let's get into this video. First, let's just look at the home Ed grew up in as a child. He spent most of his young life here, and as I mentioned, it's the same town he currently lives, Framlingham, which is in Suffolk, England. It looks to me like a cute and cozy English home. Ed lived there with his parents John and Imogen, as well as his older brother Matthew, who's now a composer himself. It was in this small town of Framlingham where Ed sang in the local church choir and learned how to play guitar. His parents also still live there, and Ed has often spoke about how much he loves his quaint hometown. Locals were totally not surprised that Ed decided to buy up his own village there because he would always go to visit, even to the local pub. Now he has his own pub, but we'll get into that in a bit. One neighbor even said, "Ed is the most down-to-earth guy you can imagine. He always has time to say hello." Before we get into Sheeranville, let's talk about Ed's other place in Notting Hill. According to records, Ed has bought up plenty of properties, including 2 places in Shoreditch, 6 in Hammersmith, 3 in Holland Park, and 2 in Chiswick. These spots are apparently investments, so he hasn't revealed what they look like, but I assume he's renting most of those out. Ed and his wife Cherry do own a $19.8 million mansion in London, but he rarely shows what it looks like. We've seen glimpses in one of the music videos, but really nothing more. This mansion is 8,300 square feet and has 8 bedrooms, plus a staff bedroom. There are other features like a home movie theater, a bar, and swimming pool, of course. Property sits at the end of a street and offers a ton of privacy for Ed and his wife. Ed bought this place back in 2018, and he also ended up buying 2 houses next door to it in 2019 as a way to stop noise complaints. Apparently, there was word from neighbors of loud music and parties. These 2 spots cost him an additional $5.3 million. Either way, that's 3 spots he owns in London. Like I said, Ed also invested in a trendy restaurant in Notting Hill. I believe it was called Galicia Tapas Bar prior to his purchase. He then also bought the flat above the space. Locals were a bit concerned because they thought Ed would be turning the lower space into a modern bar, but it would be for exclusive use only. There was also word of Ed's Notting Hill bar being more of a nightclub, so I guess him also grabbing the flat above was a way to stop some future noise complaints. Either way, with all these homes, Ed and Cherry have a choice of where they want to stay while in London or the Notting Hill area. Now let's look at the main attraction, Ed's literal village he bought in his hometown of Framlingham, Suffolk. He originally purchased the 16th century Winnie's farmhouse for $1.1 million back in June 2012 and started adding on from there. Apparently the rest of the buildings cost around $5 million, but I'm not surprised when you see how many buildings there are. Some of the properties Ed added to the estate include the Chestnuts bungalow for $650K, Sunnyside house for $1.22 million, and the Poplars for $1.16 million. In total, Ed bought 5 houses to make the village and what everyone now calls Sheeranville, and it takes up almost 15 acres of land. The main home where Ed and Cherry likely stay in most of the time is the original one, which is a huge modern farmhouse. Inside there are a ton of features like a billiards room, a man cave, a recording studio, a jacuzzi, and more. Ed has also added a modern extension to the main home since. Now it has a gym and an indoor pool with a changing room and outdoor seating. The home next door is a 4-bedroom space and sits right in front of the main house. Then the small bungalow home sits beside the main house. Ed also made a handful of improvements on Sheeranville, one of which is a super cool and massive treehouse with gorgeous views of the country. It measures 26 by 26 feet and has 4 rooms, including a living room, a study, and even a TV and audio-visual room. In 2017, Ed was also granted permission to build his private pub, Lancaster Lock Pub, named after his wife Cherry Lancaster Seaborn. His pub has underground rooms and even an underground tunnel that connects it to the main house. The pub had to be restored with bricks and tiles that were the same as the original barn if you wanted to go ahead and build it, which Ed did.
Well, there's a tunnel.
Yes!
Yeah, the tunnel, yeah.
Amazing! His pub has a 16-foot sign that at first planning officials weren't too fond of, but in the end they let him keep it. In a 2017 interview, Ed talked about his estate and new pub, saying, "Yeah, it's getting there. I've built a pub. Like I had a bar before, a bar where you could pour beers, but now it has a selection of beers, which is cool. So basically there's an underground tunnel to get there that you can close off. So if I have a party, everyone goes in the pub and no one can get in the house. So you get no one raiding the cupboards or smashing anything. You have to go underground to get to the pub." Other features of multi-million-dollar Sheeranville include a massive outdoor kitchen with 2 barbecues and a terracotta chimney pizza oven that's over 4 foot high. There's also a 4-car garage that looks like a large barn, a trendy pod by the garden, a spiral wine cellar, and orange trees. Not to mention, Ed has a huge wildlife pond that cost him $900K, which was supposedly also being used for swimming. And Ed isn't done just yet. He has more plans for the village. Plans revealed recently that he wants to add a walled kitchen garden with seating area, oak sleeper raised beds, and more room for fruit trees. He's also building an underground cinema and music room which will be connected to the main house, just like his pub is, with the underground tunnel. Some other things that may be in the works for Sheeranville's outdoor area include an entertaining space with a pool terrace, a new base for the hot tub, and garden lighting. Ed's estate will also get a wildflower meadow, and he won permission to build his own football pitch if he decides to do so.
I have a ghost that lives in my cottage. She's a little girl and she lives on the top floor, and no one will stay in that room anymore. People who clean the house now refuse to clean it. People that have stayed in the room have seen her. She's definitely in there.
I'm not sure what cottage Ed is referring to there or which one of his homes, but clearly one of his places is haunted. Anyways, the man has purchased up a lot of real estate since his music career took off, but I think they're smart investments. Sources say that Ed owns a total of 22 properties, but we have yet to see what they all look like. He purchased 2 apartments in Shoreditch for almost $2 million, 6 apartments in Hammersmith for around $7 million, 3 houses in Holland Park for just over $10 million, and 2 houses in Chiswick for around $5 million. And these are likely just places Ed rents out. We know Ed has a mansion in London that cost him over $19 million and he stays there often, where he also bought 2 neighboring homes. Also in Notting Hill, we saw the modern bar he acquired and the apartment that sits above it. Most impressive though has gotta be the mini multi-million-dollar village that Ed and his wife Cherry call home in his childhood neighborhood of Framlingham. From the 5 houses he bought beside each other to his personal pub, complete with an underground tunnel, 4-room treehouse, and more, Sheeranville is unlike anything I've seen. If you guys know where we can see more of the inside of the houses, be sure to let me know in the comments. What did you guys think of Ed's properties? Okay guys, well now I'll read out some comments from previous videos. On our Chris Brown house tour, Brandy Page said, I love the graffiti on the house and that it was away from neighbors. The sneaker collection was dope too. 10 out of 10. Yeah, I think Chris's house has a ton of personality. He made it look super cool, and I gotta say, it's one impressive sneaker collection. On the recent Johnny Depp house tour we did, Sherry Hill said, "Johnny will always love you. Love from Wentzville, Missouri." And finally, on our celebrity before and after video for Nathan Schwant, Kay said, "This was classy, refreshing. I hope they get back together." Thanks, Kay. I appreciate that positive feedback because I wanted to be respectful of Nate and Jeffree. I'm a fan of them both. Alright guys, that's all I could find on Ed Sheeran's multi-million-dollar village in England and his other properties. Did you guys like Sheeranville, or what was your favorite part? I think the idea for his personal village is cool, and I guess if you have the cash, why not? Let me know in the comments or if I missed anything, as well as what other celebrity houses you'd like to see. I've been getting some requests for Tyga's homes, Niall Horan, and a few more, so keep your eye out for those. Follow me on Instagram if you want to chat more, and I'll see you next time with some more videos. Bye guys.